Welcome to solverfy.
So, the Walk-Right Shoe Company operates a chain of shoe stores that sells 10 different styles of inexpensive men's shoes with identical unit costs and selling prices. Now, a unit is defined as a pair of shoes, and each store has a store manager who is paid a fixed salary. Individual salespeople receive a fixed salary and a sales commission. Walk-Right is considering opening another store that is expected to have the revenue and cost relationship showed in the table below. We are giving the unit variable data per pair of shoes and the annual fixed cost. So we're to answer the following questions, and I'll be answering them one by one. Now, the first question is, what is the annual break-even point in units sold and also in revenues? So we're going to start with the annual break-even point, and we're going to start with units and in revenues. So we have annual break-even point. So first of all, the selling price per unit, SP per unit, is $30 from the table. Then we subtract or less the variable cost per unit, and the variable cost per unit is $21. So we less that, and then what we get with the difference, and that will be the contribution margin per unit, and that is $9, right? Because 30 minus 21 is 9. So therefore, the contribution margin ratio is equal to the contribution margin divided by selling price. So therefore, we're going to have $9. Contribution margin is $9. Selling price is $30. So 9 divided by 30 will be the contribution margin ratio, and that would be 30%. Now, the first question, which is the annual break-even point in units. So therefore, the break-even point in units, which is the first part of the question, would be the total fixed cost divided by the contribution margin per unit. So here we're going to have the total fixed cost we are given in the table is 360,000, and the contribution margin per unit is $9 that we're given. So when we divide this, our break-even point in units would be 40,000 units. And the B part of the question says the break-even point in revenue. So it's going to be a similar way to find that. So break-even in revenue will basically be the fixed cost divided by the contribution margin ratio. And then this is equals to 360,000 divided by the contribution margin ratio is 30%, which we just found. So when you divide this, you're going to have 1,200,000, and that will be the break-even point in revenues. So the next question, question 2, says if 35,000 units are sold, so we sell 35,000 units, what will be the store's operating income or loss? So the operating income or loss is what we're going to find. And we sold 35,000 units. So number of units sold is 35,000 units, right? Right. So moving on, the contribution margin per unit that we found before is $9. And mind you, CM is contribution margin, so we don't forget. So contribution margin per unit is $9. Then the total contribution margin will be equals to 35,000. Basically multiply the number of units times the contribution margin per unit. So 35,000 units multiplied by $9, and that will give you $315,000. So, and we're going to less the fixed cost. And mind you, fixed cost is $360,000, right? So when we less this from this, we're going to have minus, because 315,000 minus 360 will give you a minus. So it will be minus 45,000. So obviously this is not a profit. This is going to be a net loss. Right. Right. So this is the operating loss, not the operating income. So we have an operating loss of $45,000. Moving on to the next question. It says if sales commissions are discontinued and fixed salaries are raised by a total of $81,000, what would be the annual break-even points in units sold and in revenues? So basically, we're going to find that too. So, the sales commissions are discontinued, fixed salaries are raised by 81,000. I want to find the break-even points in units sold and in revenues. So we're going to find the new break-even points in essence. The new break-even points. So basically, the revised fixed cost is equals to $360,000 plus $81,000, because the $81,000 comes from the fixed salaries that are raised by 81,000. So we have a raise in the fixed salary by 81,000, right? So we'll add that to the revised fixed cost, and to give us $441,000. And then the revised variable cost per unit will be $21, which it was before, minus 1.50, and then this to give you $19.50. Now the revised contribution margin will be equals to $30 that it was, minus 19.50, right, from here, and then this will give you $10.50. Now the contribution margin ratio will be equals to $10.50 divided by $30, and now, which is right here, and now this is going to give you 35%. So therefore, answering the question we're giving, the new break-even point in units, the break-even in units will be equals to 441,000, which is the revised fixed cost, divided by $10.50. And this is where it came from, the revised contribution margin. And this will give you 42,000 units, because it's in units, right? Now the break-even point, which is the second part of the question, in revenues, will give you, in revenue, I'm sorry, will give you 441,000, which is the revised fixed cost, divided by 35%, and this will give you 1,260,000, and it's in dollars. Now moving on to the fourth question, it says refer to the original data if an addition to his fixed salary the store manager is paid a commission of 30 cents per unit sold, what would be the annual break-even points in units and in units sold and in revenues. So we have to find the additional sales commission. So now the revised contribution margin will be equals to $9 minus 0.5 cents, and this will give you 8.50 cents, right? The revised contribution margin ratio will be equals to 8.50 that it was before, divided by $30, and this will give you 28.33%. So now answering the question, the break even in units will be equals to 360,000 divided by the 8.50, which is the revised contribution margin, and this will give you 42,353.94, and then this is in units. Now the break even point in revenues will be equals to 360,000 divided by 28.33%, and this will give you 1,270,588, and this is in dollars. So now moving on to the fifth question, the last final question, and this says, refer to the original data. If an addition to his fixed salary, the store manager is paid a commission of 30 cents per unit. So we are getting an additional commission of 30 cents per unit in excess of the breakdown unit points. What would be the store's operating income if 50,000 units were sold? So we have to find the additional commission after break even. So the contribution margin per unit up to break even is $9, and the contribution margin per unit after break even is $8.50, right? So therefore the total contribution margin will be equals to 40,000 units multiplied by $9 plus 10,000 units multiplied by $8.50, and then if you add this together, this will give you 445,000. So then we less fixed costs, and fixed cost is 360,000, and then the operating income will be equals to The operating income will be the difference, and that will be $85,000. So as per the question, this will be the store's operating income if 50,000 units were sold. So that's the answer to the entire question.